Hey tankers, and welcome back to World of Tanks with PR154. And today we're in Tundra and we're following Sniping-Heavy of the Rise clan in the premium tier 8 American heavy tank T77. This is one of the newer tanks on the block. In fact, this one came out the October before, during the Return of the Waffenträger event. There has been another American heavy come out since, the Renegade. What's really helpful about the new batch of American heavies that have come out, tier 8 American heavies that have come out, is that they have 4-man crews, which gives them direct compatibility with the likes of T110E5 or T77 heavy, if you are so inclined. You don't actually get that with Patriot or T34 or the Mutant. The first tier 8 premium heavy American heavy to come out that matched that pattern at tier 8 was actually the Chrysler K. Because the T77 is completely unique among the American premium tier 8 heavies. In fact, I would suggest it actually plays a lot more like a T69, although I'm happy to report that the penetration characteristics of this vehicle, regardless of whether you shoot standard AP or premium heat, far superior tier for tier than what you get with T69. So for starters, you hit for 360 hit points per shot. You have a 3-shot autoloader, and that'll basically dump a mag of 1080 hit points. Your standard AP will penetrate for 232 millimeters, which is really good for a standard shell, and it's APCR as well, so you get all the benefits of the muzzle velocity. The star of the show is actually its heat rounds, however. They have 299 millimeters of penetration, so it keeps this vehicle highly relevant even once you get to tier 10. The only drawback is your clip reload is quite long, but your intra-clip reload is quite fast. You'll dump the mag, all 1080 hit points, in 4 seconds. So you start the stopwatch at your first shot, 2 seconds, shot, 2 seconds, another shot. You sort of work that out against the reload time, and effectively you got 1500 DPM. So in the case of this vehicle, you're not looking at it so much in terms of average damage. You're looking at more at, well, what's its burst capability? And with that sort of lethality, you can be selective about the vehicles that you shoot out. You're looking at, okay, I'll expose myself, I'll eat a round, but I'll be able to do 1080 hit points of damage to that enemy vehicle and knock it out of the game. And the beautiful thing about vehicles that are knocked out of the game is they tend not to cause damage to you anymore. And when you have the option to go up to 299 millimeters of penetration, that sort of killing capability can really come in handy in terms of just getting those kills and reducing the amount of damage per minute that's heading your way or in the direction of your teammates. Unfortunately, that's about it as far as the redeeming features of the tank between that top tier crew compatibility and the killing capability of the 120mm main armament. The armor on this vehicle doesn't really rate a mention. The turret armor is quite penetrable, but have a look at this. We've just knocked out 2 enemy vehicles with 2 shots. They were both quite low hit points at type 59 for the grand sum of 12 hit points, but knocking those enemy vehicles out in quick succession has a serious effect on the enemy team. Unfortunately, Sniping-Heavy couldn't quite loiter long enough to save Napalmer in the Caliban there. He was probably actually playtesting it at the time, trying to come to grips with it, much like the rest of us CCs. But he's pulled back to make sure he gets a full magazine, and with that full magazine, he's able to knock out this 122 TM and hopefully give this Centurion 5.1 a serious repair bill. There we go, straight through the upper frontal plate, and that puts the Centurion 5.1 in one-shot territory for Steggles in the 122 TM. Now, we've got the GSAW 1008 that's creeping up. We've also got the T34 that's coming off the hill and playing the hull down. GSAW 1008 looks like it's got a magazine ready to go. It's already loosed a shot into Steggles. It has seen Sniping-Heavy, and it is, for reasons known only to itself, it's choosing to distribute that magazine between these two vehicles, where really what it should be doing is going for kills, going for knocking enemy tanks out of the game. Between Steggles and between Sniping-Heavy, they had that ability to focus in that particular situation. Here they've got the T34. It's in a bit of a 3 versus 1, but it is in its optimal position, playing from hull down. What's the hull on the T34? It's not that great. It's probably the weaker point of the vehicle, but you do have to get past the horizon of the turret first, which the T34 having just fantastic penetration. That fortunately, with some of the more recent equipment that has come out in the game, has started to bring the old T34 back into a bit of relevance. In fact, we featured a T34 on the channel not all that long ago. So full magazine is almost on the way, and Sniping-Heavy is eyeing off that Rheinmetall Borsig Waffenträger. He is very much in a one-shottable condition for the Rheinmetall Borsig, and is going to be relying on a little bit of favourable RNG to be able to knock the Borsig out of the game. But we know it's fired. He can make his move. The Rheinmetall Borsig has eaten another shot from the lone survivor in the 122 TM. He's doing quite well, being featured twice on the channel in as many games. And between them, and with focused fire, they're able to send the Rheinmetall Borsig Waffenträger back to the garage. This just leaves them in a 2 versus 2. The enemy with a slight advantage in the hit points. Interestingly, on the green team, we've got two vehicles that are known for their very low DPM. But having said that, the enemy team has got an ISU 152 and a Caliban. So the Caliban, depending on how its magazine is situated, that's got quite a bit of killing potential, particularly given Lone Survivor is sitting on about 328 hit points. Sniping-Heavy not doing that much better at 375 hit points. So they're facing two enemy vehicles with significant kill potential. The Caliban is the first to be lit up, and it looses the high explosive, and unfortunately for them, only makes a 113 hit point dent in Sniping-Heavy. This just leaves the ISU 152 now. There's one shot left in the locker for Sniping-Heavy. It's not going to be enough to kill the ISU 152 on its own. Of course, the ISU 152, always a force to be reckoned with. We're hoping the 122 TM will get another shot in, and that will put it in one-shot territory for Sniping-Heavy. Not to be, unfortunately. But you still have the bulk of a heavy tank that you can use as a weapon. In this case, the T77 has outweighed the ISU 152 and knocked it out for the final kill of the game. So it's a very, very fancy finish there for Sniping-Heavy of the Rise Clan. Let's go and take a look at the results. So that is a very well-deserved Ace Mastery badge there for Sniping-Heavy in the Tier 8 Premium American Heavy Tank T77. He's also picked up the Epic Medal Top Gun for accounting for at least 6 kills on the enemy team. Now that medal will cover you up to 7 kills. Beyond that, you're into Radley Walters territory. And he has reached the upper limit of qualification for the Top Gun medal with 7 kills. He's picked up quite a fistful of badges of merit here. We've got the Bruiser Medal for damaging enemy vehicles, modules, or crew members at least 5 times in the course of the battle. He's got the Hand of God, where he's survived and won the battle, having received damage from at least 4 different enemy vehicles. He's got the Duelist Medal for destroying at least 2 enemy vehicles that have caused damage to them in turn, and he's also picked up the Fire for Effect Medal for doing at least his hit points in damage, which with just over 3,000 damage inflicted on the enemy, doing quite well. But I guess this result really underscores the killing capability of the T77 with that 3-shot autoloader that spits out 1,080 hit points of damage on average in about 4 seconds flat. And effective gameplay with the T77 is to kind of use its hit points. Like you want to, you'll find yourself in positions where you're going to eat around, and that's going to be inevitable. You'll eat maybe 250, maybe 450 hit points, 750 hit points if you're super unlucky rolling in front of an ISU 152. But for that, you'll give them back 1,080 hit points, particularly if you're in a 1v1. Obviously, if you're against more enemy tanks than that, then you're going to have to make a more cautious assessment of your situation. But that is what these auto loaders like T77 are good at doing. Just use your hit points, use your hit point pool, eat a shell if you have to, and return it with interest. Having a look at the team scores, this is a very high placement on XP. In fact, he's placed top by experience. He's followed by John Wick Blue in the M54 Renegade, who also took a rather impressive 5 kills. The Bofors Tornvarn, also over 2,000 hit points inflicted on the enemy, and of course there was some actions by Lone Survivor there in the 122 TM. He's a real team player there. He assisted Sniping-Heavy in focusing the fire, and was often that nice meaty hit out of the 120mm main armament of 122 TM that really made the difference in making some of these vehicles clippable for Sniping-Heavy. Special mention on the enemy team to Live Dawn in the Caliban, over 3,000 hit points inflicted on the enemy team, and the Centurion 5-1 RAAC that was knocked out by Steggles there, also had a considerable effect on the game. Unfortunately, not quite enough this time. And we can see, you've got one tank left in the game. This was a close result, some very slim margins involved. Having a look at the detailed report, very profitable game here for Sniping-Heavy, with over 110,000 credits gleaned. Now, there was a bit of a personal missions payout. It wasn't from a personal campaign. Didn't knock over any personal campaigns this time. So I suspect there was something else going on there. But you take that out of the equation. This was an 80,000 credit game. So very profitable there. Part of what fed into that is, in spite of having the opportunity to have 299mm of penetration with the premium heat shells, in this case, Sniping-Heavy hasn't needed to rely on that. He's been able to survive quite well with the 232mm of penetration on the standard APCR in pretty well all of the engagements there. So that has returned quite a dividend for Sniping-Heavy on this particular occasion. So very well done there. And if you've got a game that you'd like to see featured on the channel, please reach out over Discord or any of the links below, and I'll do our best to sort you out. If you check out the About section on my YouTube channel, you'll see some of the guidelines on community submissions that I'll look for. And of course, we are prepared to be more than flexible on those guidelines if you've got a really close game, a clutch finish, or you're knocking over an exceptionally difficult personal campaign mission. So looking forward to hearing from you. In the meantime, take care out there.